Well, morning all. Do you remember Andrew Mitchell from Plebgate, where he blasted coppers on the gates of Downing Street and got removed from his position, and officers got sacked for trying to cock him up? Anyway, he's back on the news round because he's the Minister of State for the UK and Development of Africa, whatever that bloody means. It must be connected with Rwanda. Anyway, he's been on saying what a fine job the police do, and it was all bad planning when they bollocked a Jewish lad for trying to cross a Palestinian procession. So anyway, it's all gone out of control really, hasn't it? Rowley, the Metropolitan Commissioner, has now been summoned to somewhere where the Minister of Policing, Chris Philp, operates, and probably the Home Office, because James Cleverly's got involved, who struts about like he owns the army and hasn't got the bottles to stop the immigrants. So anyway, Rowley's marched in for a bollocking and a clarification of how this could have possibly happened. It was disgraceful. So anyway, see what happens with that. You can't believe it, can you? Look at this Chris Philp. He's just given chief constables, or he's just about to get it put into legislation, that chief constables can sack police officers immediately without going through all the rigmarole. Well, I can't wait to see that one happening. Crying out loud. They should bloody mutiny on that. Can you imagine? All these bent chief constables and everybody inspector above revelling in the authority to drop all the shit on the working lads at the pointed end. Well, unbelievable, isn't it? And now he's going to call him Rowley in to give him a bollocking. Hey, bloody hell. And, well, James will be helping him. Well, I had a little look at Chris Philp on Wikipedia. Shows himself as a serial entrepreneur. He fails to mention that he's also a serial failure. He keeps putting his entrepreneurial enterprises down. So he's got no lines of success, so he became an MP. So really, in the real world, he should have been charged with some fraud somewhere. But lo and behold, he's making the law and giving chief constables the right to roam, for crying out loud. Well, talking of the police doing a wonderful job, do you remember Durham Constabulary acting on Currygate, or Beergate, whatever it was called, when Starmer and Angela Rayner were seen by students and filmed having a curry and beers in the Labour Party building at a function held by a Labour MP. Well, all hell broke loose, obviously, because Boris was up to his eyes in a piece of cake at a party in Downing Street. So Labour were getting their own back. And anyway, Conservatives were getting their own back on Labour. So they had a go, didn't they? But they had a Labour police commissioner, and suddenly there was no case to answer. Well, that's all right then. Well, as you no doubt know, it's happening again. Ms. Rayner has been pulled for fiddling tax, voters register and all sorts of nonsense, shopped by a neighbour, and initially good old Steve Watson, GMP Chief Constable, decided there was no case to answer, like he would, of course, because he's got a Labour Police Commissioner, Andy Burnham. Deputy Chairman, Conservative Party, James Daly, decided that that's not good enough, and he wanted a full investigation completed by Greater Manchester Police. So they were doing it, and they put 10 officers on the job. Can you believe it? Well, they're not well known for detection, but that's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? But then, carrying on from there, Dame Andrea Jenkins, who's well known for shouting a bit in Parliament, but was given the damehood, I think, to shut her up, because she came out with a very polite riposte about it all, reminding Sunak in Prime Minister's questions that Beergate was a fiddle because of all the Labour members, and surely this should be an independent investigation. And Sunak agreed. Well, he's carrying on, so don't hold your breath. Well, can't believe it, can you? The Queer of the Week's resigned totally now, Mark Menzies, but he's still sitting there drawing his wages until the next election or erection. You don't know what the hell it is, do you? Having him as the MP for Fylde must be like putting a kid in a toy shop. Can you imagine that? Anyway, it backfired on him. A few rent boys chained him up in a flat and demanded a ransom, which he paid, crying out loud. Anyway, it backfired. Good riddance. And anyway, while we're on the subject, do you know there are 6 Conservatives suspended for various practices of sexual and dishonesty? Ooh. And 7 Labour. Hey, can't get your breath, can you? But there's 1 each of DUP, SNP and Plaid Cymru. How do you like me Welsh? Anyway, so they're bang at it, aren't they? And this bloody Menzies gave out everybody's address in Parliament, who were also daisy chaining and whatever they do in the bogs. You can't get your breath, can you? Hey? Oh, they kept that quiet, didn't they? They want to be ashamed of themselves. Do you know, on Sunday, yesterday, there was a service at the monument in Whitehall, just like Poppy Day, but kept quiet. And it was for St. George's Day and the English flag and all that. And what did they do? They just put cadets, RAF cadets, Army cadets, in the march past. No soldiers, no real fighters, nobody wanting to show how loyal they were. Just kids. What a disgrace, eh? And then Palestine bloody marching somewhere and causing a riot. It's absolutely disgraceful. What is it coming to? Heels of a service he'd like to pretend, I just like to mention my dad, because he was a war hero. He was in the commandos and they did all sorts of antics, and I never knew what he'd done until I found a paper listing his exploits in the army made by the Commando Association. And I'll just tell you one: he nicked a train with others pals, in the battalion or whatever, and they drove it right through the German lines and attacked them from the rear. You can't get your breath, can you? Anyway, when he left, he was very disillusioned with life and he couldn't find anywhere to live. So nobody helped him find accommodation. He ended up with his mum and dad in Swinton, got a job at Burton's Tailors, but then eventually joined the prison service because he got a free house. And that was all at the time. But anyway, while he was in the prison, he rose to the giddy rank of the highest uniformed officer. And he remembers the days of slopping out in strange ways when they had a special wing for all the weirdos, the pedos, the queers, and all the murderers of pensioners and babies. They put them all together because they were all regarded as absolute perverts. So not today, well, some are obviously revered. Anyway, they used to stand there with the pots, but what he noted was that every one of them, or most of them, had these rosy cheeks like Noddy. And it was a real thing that stood out. And when you look at MPs, judges, and people in authority, there's so many of them who are probably perverted, and you'll know somebody with these cheeks. and you might know what they get up to. But it's amazing, isn't it? But Parliament, eh? That's some Rosie, isn't it? Well, that's it. Night all. Ah, you see, hands the wrong way round. Night all. And rest in peace, Dad. Miss you.